Latinos in the U.S. represent over 17% of the population and make up the nation's largest ethnic or racial minority. Yet Latinos are grossly underrepresented in civic leadership roles of impact. In Massachusetts, Latinos constitute nearly 20% of Boston's population, yet they make up just 12% of the city's workforce and are underrepresented in the city and state boards and commissions. Latina Circle is a Boston-based network launched in 2012 that is working to change this by advancing Latina leaders across industries into positions of power and influence. Now, to tell us more, we've invited the co-founders of Latina Circle, Betty Francisco and Eneida Roman. And thank you for coming in, ladies. I'm glad to have you here today. Let's, I guess, begin with just what inspired the Latina Circle?
So Latina Circle was founded, as you stated, in 2012, and we saw a need to have a network, create a network of women leading other women, and particularly women in mid to senior level careers, because we wanted to make sure that we supported each other. So we have a model called Cafecitos. So we meet quarterly, and we have breakfast with Latin-inspired foods, and we've covered multiple issues such as the wage gap, the wealth gap, the political gap, and so all of this has led to the launch of Amplify Latinx.
Okay. Now, what is your? What would you say the ultimate goal is? What's your objective here?
Sure. Well, initially it was to provide mentoring and championing of Latinas and to create visibility for them. In the workplace, oftentimes Latinos in general don't get the visibility that they need to advance in their careers, and that's part of what our network started to do. So the ultimate goal is to create leaders across multiple industries that can continue to advance social change, but also represent diverse perspectives in the workplace and across other sectors.
Now, I was going to ask you to explain ALPI, Amplify Latino Power, or Amplify Latinx. But before I do that, sure, I want to just pause for a second and say Latinx, Latin with the X. Now, talk to me just about the term itself. Who wants to take that one?
Sure. So Latinx is a new definition of what Latino or Latina is in the United States. It's more powered by the millennial generation because it's a non-binary definition of what a Latino is. It includes everybody, and it also includes
unisex, and not male,
correct,
female.
and gender neutral. Different sexual orientations and men, women, everything. So it aims to be inclusive.
So if you say Latinx, that we're talking about all Latinos. Okay, all right. And that's okay. That's the younger generation there. Now, explain, I guess, Amplify Latino Power, Amplify Latinx. What is that?
So Amplify Latino Power and Impact is an initiative that we are launching on June 17th, and part of it is to increase the representation of Latinos across elected leadership, appointed roles, boards and commissions, and ultimately in the corporate sector. We launched it because, again, we saw the underrepresentation that you talked about in the beginning of Latinos in positions of power, and in order to advance many of the issues in our community and to affect positive policy changes, we need to have additional representation in government and where where we can affect change.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about the conference? You got a conference coming up. Talk about maybe some of what can people expect? What are some of your goals?
Of course. Well, as Betty stated, we look to demystify the process of running for office. We want to expose people to different opportunities at the local and state level where they could serve on boards and commissions so that they can understand that. And our third focus is on advocacy. So we want to show our guests and participants how they may learn about different advocacy techniques. We're going to follow up with other workshops that are more specific based on people's needs and wants, but those are the three primary goals. We also want to focus on the Latino civic engagement, right? Because we know that Latino civic engagement tends to be relatively low. So how can we engage more Latinos in the political process so that they can gain more visibility and so that the community at large can have more impact?
That seems like a big piece of this, the whole political, getting involved in the political process in the positions of power, elected officials, and so forth?
Right. Yeah, and in the end, what we see is women in general don't tend to put themselves out there as much. And what we saw with the recent election and the Women's March is that there is a desire to get more involved, particularly among women. And the Latinas that that are in our network want to participate, but oftentimes they're seeking more training, more leadership opportunities. And so this is a collaborative, nonpartisan movement that brings together a number of organizations that do training and development around the political process in order to create more opportunities for women to get involved.
Now, who are some of your partners that you're involved with here?
So, I mean, we have 50 plus community partners, both at the local and national level. And like Betty stated, they are people who already are experts in their field, whether it's civic engagement, whether it's political training, whether it's leadership training. And so we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to make sure that we bring together all these resources for the Latino community so they could use these resources, both within our reach, which would be the workshops that we're partnering with these organizations, and then later on their own, just reaching out and knowing that these organizations are there. So we will be creating a resource center on our website so that people know if you want to run for office, these are the organizations that you look to. If you want to serve on leadership positions, these are the ones that can help you, and civic engagement, the same.
Okay, and you wanted to add something?
Well, some of the key players you'll see are, for example, Emerge Massachusetts, which trains women, Mass Women's Political Caucus. Out of DC, there's Latino Victory Project, which is national in scope and is really focused on increasing voter turnout as well as leadership.
Who should attend the conference?
Anyone that's interested in running for office, who wants to get more engaged. So for us, civic engagement runs the gamut from volunteering, supporting candidates, to nominating people that you know that would be great leaders.
And also, I'm sorry, I would also just say not only run for office, but also anybody interested in learning about the issues, because you don't necessarily have to run for office to have impact. So you can be a community leader and, you know, and have impact, and not even, you know, just speaking to people is enough.
Make you a better voter. And once again, remind everyone just the details, when, where, etc.
So the conference launches June 17th, 8 a.m. Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the U.S. Senate.
Okay, and we'll leave it right there, Betty Francisco and Eneida Roman. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, well, that's it for this edition of Urban Update. I'm Byron Barnett, and from all of us here, have a happy Sunday and enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day holiday weekend. We'll see you next week.